The past couple years have been challenging for the restaurant industry, especially the full-service dining sector. In 2024, Texas Roadhouse became the biggest casual dining restaurant, surpassing Olive Garden, who held the top spot since 2018. Between 2019 and 2024, the two companies' sales are up over 55% and over 80%.
What if I told you that many of your favorite casual dining spots, Applebee's, Chili's, Olive Garden, are surviving less on food quality and more on nostalgia and cheap drinks? They promise comfort and value, but what you often get is microwave dishes, limp salad bars, and overpriced ribs drowning in sauce. The real shock? Only two chains still deliver honest value, and they aren't the ones most people expect. Stick with me, and we'll break down which restaurants are wasting your money, and the two that still hit their mark every single time.
Cracker Barrel is sticking with its Southern comfort roots, scrapping new design plans and announcing the old country store look is here to stay. Announcing Tuesday it was suspending all remodels after swift online backlash from customers.
Become sort of a symbol of this old-time Americana.
Cracker Barrel tested a more modern and bright design at 4 of its 660 locations, but quickly found customers preferred nostalgia over a modern new look.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. You walk into a restaurant expecting comfort, but what's really served is a calculated illusion. From the second you push through the doors, the setting is designed to work on you. The frame pictures, dim lighting, booths built for families or dates. It isn't about food, it's about convincing you that you're in a special place.
So what's driving consumers to these steakhouses, and what makes them a standout in the restaurant sector?
Value steakhouses exist in kind of the sweet spot where it's tough to replicate the experience. I think that's why you've seen Roadhouse and Longhorn deliver trends that are, above what the industry is seeing.
Texas Roadhouse and Longhorn Steakhouse parent company Darden Restaurants have significantly outperformed the S&P over the past 5 years. Darden Restaurants owns a number of chains besides Longhorn.
These chains have built their reputations not on kitchen skill, but on an atmosphere of warmth. The idea that this is where memories are made and value is guaranteed. Large menus stacked with dishes, oversized portions, and catchy slogans do the rest of the work. That image usually lasts until the plates hit the table. The sizzling plate at Chili's isn't sizzling because of skill. It's because the skillet was reheated the same way every time, covering food that often had little more attention than a microwave bell. Applebee's built an empire on neighborhood charm while leaning heavily on microwave pastas and pre-cooked meats. And TGI Fridays was once praised for originality, but now relies more on stripes of branding than on flavor placed before you. The disconnect shows these meals aren't crafted to taste, they're assembled for speed and low cost. What's sold as affordable dinners comes with hidden costs. You pay less on the receipt, but you lose time on bland meals that don't match the promise. You spend dollars chasing flavor that never arrives.
Backlash prompting Cracker Barrel to release a new statement saying, "You've shared your voices in recent weeks, not just on our logo, but also on our restaurants. If your restaurant hasn't been remodeled, you don't need to worry. It won't be."
Where do things stand as a whole with the restaurant industry, particularly these longtime chains that have been struggling?
Yeah, I think that a lot of these efforts to sort of revitalize and reignite some of these older brands have been successful.
Just 2 years ago, Cracker Barrel brought in CEO Julie Masino to refresh the brand. But the struggle to lure new customers and keep nostalgia alive is a shared one.
Quality gets pushed off the plate and replaced by distractions. Cheap margaritas keep you focused on the drink while the entree slides by unnoticed. Even nostalgia becomes a tactic. Remember celebrating your birthday here? Used to anchor loyalty even as the experience weakens. Menus grow wider, pages filled with everything from tacos to salmon, yet the food behind them rarely delivers depth. The chains aren't giving bargains. They're winning with minimal effort. But if most fail the test, the real question is whether any still deserve your trust. Out of a whole battlefield of mediocre options, two chains still hold the high ground. While most casual dining spots stumble over frozen food and cheap distractions, these two have built loyalty by actually giving guests what they came for: flavor, predictability, and fair value. The first is Texas Roadhouse. It's loud, crowded, and unapologetically rowdy. But behind that chaos sits a menu that consistently delivers. Guests don't show up for frozen pastas reheated in back kitchens. They show up because they know the steak will taste like steak, not freezer burned dressed up in grill marks. Walk into a Roadhouse and the first thing you smell is warm yeast rolls hitting the table, paired with cinnamon butter that arrives before you even order. Steaks come hot off the grill and ribs carry seasoning that sticks, not some watery glaze poured on at the last second. The dining room energy is loud enough to border on distracting, but it doubles as part of their design. The constant buzz, the birthday line dances, and the country playlists aren't accidents. They keep tables turning fast while leaving customers with the impression of a good time. What might feel chaotic elsewhere becomes strategy here, and it works. On the opposite end of the spectrum sits Cracker Barrel. Instead of noise, it sells calm.
We do expect Texas Roadhouse to deliver trends that are above the industry. 12 months, we have an equal weight rating on Darden and would expect the stock to perform kind of in line, but already trades at a higher valuation than the rest of the industry.
Guests walk through racks of rocking chairs and shelves of old-fashioned candy, stepping into a space that feels stitched together from nostalgia. At the table, the food keeps the same tone. Biscuits covered in sausage gravy, eggs fried just right, and plates of comfort built from standard ingredients, but done with careful consistency. Families know they can feed everyone without wiping out their budget. And unlike other chains that break promises with mismatched branding, here the theme and the meal align. Their strength isn't novelty, it's reliability. And that reliability is exactly why these two chains remain worth your money. Because in dining, as in military planning, knowing who can hold the line under pressure matters more than who makes the loudest claim. Most casual dining chains don't survive on flavor or consistency. They survive on spectacle, eye-catching signs, and a steady drip of nostalgia that convinces customers to keep coming back. When the plates arrive, the promises usually collapse. That's why the survivors stand out. Not because they're perfect, but because they give predictable value you can count on every visit. Think like a strategist. Don't waste your resources on unreliable performers, especially when stronger options exist. In dining, just like in military operations, it's never about the loudest claim. It's always about the most reliable execution when pressure mounts.